Jeep has finally gotten around to redesigning the Compass. The second generation was introduced in 2016, not 1941, and has been manufactured in Italy, Brazil, China, India, and for the North American market in Mexico. I like what they've done, but if you don't, that's okay, because if you're in America, you may never get a chance to see one. Let's take a look at this multi-energy platform and explain the multinational challenge it faces. Let's look at what the new Compass is, discuss what they would need to do for the North American market, and then wonder where the heck they're going to make it, given, tariffs. The new Compass for Europe will mostly come in two-wheel drive form with four-wheel drive optional. And in America, the idea of a front-wheel drive Jeep just wouldn't sit well with its fans. So as we go through the European lineup, we need to think how they can offer all-wheel drive. The new Compass is built on the Stella Medium multi-energy platform, and they've selected three different powertrains. Base powertrain is what they call an eHybrid. It's a 48-volt mild hybrid system based on a 1.2-liter turbocharged three-cylinder gas engine, producing 145 horsepower and mated to a six-speed dual-clutch transmission. This would be front-wheel drive only for the European market, but for North America, Jeeps are like always all-wheel drive. They could make it all-wheel drive by adding an electric motor at the rear. This is how the Jeep Avenger 4xe system works. In that smaller Jeep, there's a 28 horsepower electric motor that works with the engine to make it a hybrid driving the front wheels. Plus, it adds another 28 horsepower electric motor to the rear to make it an all-wheel drive system. They could do that same thing for the North American market, but it would have some limitations. That rear motor would need to run off the hybrid battery pack, which is typically only about 1 kilowatt hour, maybe even a little less. So all-wheel drive might be on demand for limited use, not full-time all-wheel drive. The next step up in the powertrain lineup would be a plug-in hybrid. The current Compass and Renegade in Europe have offered a PHEV powertrain for a while, but we never got that in the US. Featuring a 1.6-liter turbocharged four-cylinder engine, along with the hybrid electric motor, the combined output for this system is 195 horsepower, only to the front wheels. For Europe, they only mentioned front-wheel drive, but expect a 4xe option to come later. And in North America, they would definitely need to offer all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, call it what you want. You should plug in to recharge the 17.9 kilowatt hour battery. In front-wheel drive configuration, it's estimated to get 40 miles of range on the WLTP test. So, figure about 30 miles of electric range on the EPA test if they were to offer it as all-wheel drive. And that would be a nice configuration. Now, the battery EV lineup for Europe does come with front or all-wheel drive. First up is a front-wheel drive single motor with 213 horsepower and a 73 kilowatt hour battery that gives it a range of 310 miles WLTP. That's fine for Europe. Price for this first edition starts at €48,900 with probably more affordable trim levels to follow after launch. Another front-wheel drive option features more horsepower and a larger battery, 97 kilowatt hours. It wasn't made abundantly clear, but this is likely their long-range model with 404 miles WLTP, so figure about 335 miles EPA. But again, it's a front-wheel drive Jeep. We would need the dual motor 375 horsepower all-wheel drive version for North America. 66 horsepower of power to the rear, and that motor is geared 14-to-1, making for impressive torque figures. Charging is all right, 160 kilowatts peak, 30 minutes to go from 20 to 80%. Yeah, I say it's fine, but we really should expect better from a brand new EV. This is the only four-wheel drive model that they officially revealed. On the outside, I dig it. Most images are the front-wheel drive model. The all-wheel drive model gets unique fascias to give it better approach and departure angles, off-roady stuff. They said the front-wheel drive can ford 18.5 inches of water, but they did not repeat that same stat for the all-wheel drive model. So I'm not sure if that was just an oversight or if something's going on there. The new Compass is larger and roomier than the old Compass and more masculine. I like it, even in the Hawaii color, that's the name. So that's the Europe lineup and how we can configure that as four-wheel drive for North America. But where to make it? For Europe market, this is Jeep's 2026 market share forecast. On the left are the three SUV segments they compete in, forecasted market share size. Then they show their entries for each. Jeep Avenger, considered too small for the US market, but is sold globally in 62 markets. It offers the three most popular powertrain choices per their forecast. The new Compass will offer their three powertrain choices, as we already discussed. And the D-segment SUVs represent a small slice of the European market. They're large and premium. And Jeep thus far insists that the Wagoneer and Recon will only come as a full battery electric, although reports are that the Wagoneer S will come later with a hybrid powertrain and be called the Cherokee, a more affordable SUV. The Recon and Wagoneer S are made in Mexico, the Avenger is made in Poland, and the Compass will launch from a plant in Italy for Europe, with other production locations to follow. The current North American Compass is made in Mexico, and the plan was to build this new Compass in Brampton, Ontario. However, in February, as it became clear that tariffs were coming and the USMCA was out the window, they halted work retooling that plant. They could make it in the idled Belvidere plant, but that was supposed to give Ram their mid-size pickup that they've been waiting for. This is the challenge for automakers. Do you change your production plans or just sit back and wait for the White House to change their mind on tariffs? I'm not sure what the answer is, but Jeep North America desperately needs to update the old Compass and to give them a competitive, affordable, high-volume model to boost their sales. They thought they had it figured out, but it looks like dealers and customers will have to wait a little longer for this new Compass to hit the streets in America.